Okay, hello everybody. Julija Simas here, Agent 12 for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. We are today beginning our 2021 version of Cosmic Transmissions with the fabulous Olga Morales, Agent 33. Hello, Olga.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being with me today. I'm just checking that this is all streaming live on Facebook at the moment. Sorry, it's what, yes, it is. That's great. So we can just introduce ourselves. Olga Morales, Agent 33, is, I like to call you the magical, mystical agent. We go on big journeys with you. And that's kind of why we've started the show, because Olga and I were talking and she said, there's just so many things that, astrologers have to share. There's so many techniques and sort of hidden aspects of things that I think a lot of what's out there with astrology doesn't see. So we're going to be kind of peering into those mysteries, aren't we, a bit? Yes, Olga?
We are. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are, because Olga does that naturally.
Yep.
And the more that you do astrology anyway, I think most of us have sort of, let's say, been introduced to astrology through some kind of a magical understanding. Was it the case for you, Olga?
I got into astrology when I was 16 because my sister bought Linda Goodman's book. Everyone had the sun sign astrology book.
Yeah.
But then I started studying officially because someone said to me, I met somebody once and she said to me, we're having lunch, and she said to me, "You're an old soul, you've lived many lifetimes." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "You need to go and find some books by Edgar Cayce at the Theosophical Society." It's the first time I'd gone into the city to the Theosophical Society. I was in my early 20s. And when I went in there, I thought, I was blown away. And there was a whole wall of books on astrology. And there was the flyer for my teacher, Pamela Rowe, teaching astrology in Zodiac Street. I thought this is, obviously a message.
You studied in Zodiac Street?
I studied in Zodiac Street, and I started in 1991 officially.
Right.
At the Academy of Astrology and Cosmobiology. So that was one person just had to say something to me, which is what usually happens, right? There's a messenger, and I've never seen that person ever again.
Yeah, wow.
Right.
Okay.
It was that one instant. And that was it. That was what then the synchronicity of that moment led me to find my teacher. And obviously Edgar Cayce in the Theosophical Society. Once you go in there, it opens you up to every possible topic.
A big rabbit hole that
continues. It sure is. And I've never come out of that rabbit hole.
That's the way. But one of our favorite things is that we we do go down those rabbit holes, because once you understand astrology, it's like, oh, I really want to look into this aspect, or now I want to find out how that works. And it's endless. It's just so wonderful because it's endless. It's really, all of us that do study it and sort of take on research or whatever, there's always something more. There is never kind of a topping of that, is there? And often so many, like talking about the magical connection of how we found astrology. There's so many reports and stories of people saying, yeah, I was in a bookshop and this astrology book fell on my head.
Hit me on my head.
Knock you out, It's very mercurial, like, the messenger coming to you.
Sure
so,
is.
you could just look at your own Mercury in your chart to kind of see where your Mercury is to what you kind of what kind of astrology you're into as well. Now my Mercury's in Pisces, so I've always used astrology as an inspirational tool and very much seeking the mysteries and uncovering, as Pisces likes as well. But your Mercury is in Virgo?
No, Sagittarius.
Oh, it's in Sagittarius, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's my chart ruler, and it rules my MC, my midheaven. So
okay,
he's my ruler. Yeah. He's in Sagittarius in my third house. So of course I've got to talk about all this stuff, and
well, that's also the explorer of the sacred sites and the cross-cultural kind of references of astrology. We often go down just the kind of the Western world and the myths and stuff, but there's just so much more connected, isn't there? So,
and that's also, I believe that that's a link for me with the Templars. I love anything to do with the Crusades and the Templars with the Sagittarian, because the Templars, if you look at that emblem, they're on a horse with a sword, you know.
right.
Yeah, it's got to be a past life, and it's right on my IC, so you know it brings in the past life, and it's on that attractor that I discovered, the Great Attractor. Yeah, so
well, we'll do a show on the Great Attractor. We did that
we
for
will.
our
Yeah.
CIA members last week, and found some wonderful correlations to the Great Attractor. I won't tell you what it is at the moment, but it goes with the name. Anyway, but this is, again, just kind of inviting you that we're going to do this every 2 weeks, Olga. Yes?
Yep.
And we're going to go down these magical mystery tours of astrology, cosmology. We're going to have interviews with very interesting people. We've got a bit of a want list there, haven't we? That we're going to organise. So stick with us for these cosmic transmissions over the coming year, as we bring to you a lot more what we love, really. I mean, again, there's so much to talk about. There's so much that we love about what we do, and we want to share it with you. But so today, this morning, or morning here in Australia, the sun moved to Aquarius. So it's in Aquarius now for 30 days. And we thought that we would start this session about talking about the Decans of astrology. Before you begin your kind of presentation of this, Olga, that she's generously put together for us, tell us a tiny bit about the Decans. It's about dividing the zodiac of 360 degrees by 10-degree markers. Yeah.
Every sign is divided by 3, so you get 10 degrees in each sign of the zodiac.
Yeah.
So it's a divisional chart. Now there's so many divisional charts around, you know, like in India, Egypt, obviously, and different harmonics. But it all stems back to Egypt pretty much, because it was all to do with the rising of the stars, and they were the star clocks. So they are ancient, even though there's
moving every rising every
10 degrees. 10 degrees. That would their calendar was based on stars. It wasn't where, you know, the sun was. I mean, the sun is obviously important because of the angles of the sun, but it was star charts, star clocks. Yeah. So with the transfer of knowledge, they say that originally the ancient civilizations were the stellar cults or stellar people, just watching the stars, and then it moved to more lunar. So we get more lunar type of astrology or astronomy, and then we went to a solar energy. So we went from that, and there's a change, and from that, you know, things sort of get meshed up in together and overlap, and so there's different ways of analyzing the myths that we read. You know, like I'm heavily into the Bible because of W. Decan, and like he says, if you uncover the codes in the Bible, you're going to understand what the teachings were, because most of the prophecy in the Bible is from the prophets, and the prophets knew the cycles. So, you know, so I'm sort of going on a tangent, but this is all related to what I'm going to present, because a lot of it comes from Egypt, and a lot of the myths that we read about are actually to do with what's happening up there. That was their cinema. They didn't go to the cinemas. They just looked up at the stars, and that's where the stories came from. The entertainment and all their gods. How many gods are there? There's so many gods, but they all represent either a star or one of these decans, a grouping, or a planet. So anyway, I'll get into it. It's very exciting. I mean, this is something that I've loved even before I got into GAN. It was like, you know, you go into the Theosophical Society, and if you read Edgar Cayce, he's got a whole thing on Egypt and Atlantis and all that, and that just like, wow, you know. So I think this is what's happening with us moving into all this Aquarian like the dawning of the age of Aquarius, is that the old paradigm of what we were taught, or maybe the history books, have to be changed, because every day there's a new discovery that they can't fit in the timeline that has been told to us in the history books. Okay,
right.
so you know, we're talking about this is the thing I want to mention. When the original Egyptologists had to work out the timelines, they were restricted because they had to fit into the religious system that we're running, you know, that the creation happened 4000 BC, Adam and Eve, right? They were stuck in this, you know, God created the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. So from their chronology, we started 4,000 years ago, but how does it explain things that they've been finding previous to that? You know, so things are changing, as we know. I mean, you know, the biggest one was when they
been uncovered. Like the past has been uncovered as much as the kind of what do you call it, the edges of space are being more uncovered. So we're going back both ways. You know, we're going back deeper and deeper both ways, and human is in the middle. So it's almost like we've got further to go back there. What is it called? I can't remember that. There's a wonderful graph that shows, you know, a human in the middle of, from the most smallest measurement to the highest, you know, but that continues. That never really stops. But it's amazing that we're in the middle viewing all of this, you know, taking place. And I so agree with you. This Aquarian time, it's like, you know, I love traditional kind of astrology and looking into it and all that stuff, but I can't fully practice it that way because I can't take away that we know other things. You know, but anyway, let's move over to your kind of segment on the Decans, because Olga, you know, as I said, she's sort of studied this so much compared to many people that I know. How this relates to the history of how we've looked at the sky or the heavens from the beginning, or from the beginning that it was documented, really, because, you know, that sort of started all before. So do you want to share your screen, Olga, and we'll look into this? How exciting.
I'll just do that.
Great.
Can you see my whole screen?
Yes. We're seeing the notes, so
okay.
maybe
I don't know what it's doing. I've just got. Oh no, I've got two screens up. I'm going to have to move it, I think, across. How do I do that?
I mean, it doesn't really matter. Go back to go back out of this, and it's like slideshow.
Stop share for a minute. Okay, let me see if I can just fix this.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
No big deal.
How do I get out of this? It's because I've got two screens. So hold on. If I share that now, I don't want you there.
I'm just seeing the people that are online with us on Facebook. Hello, everyone. It's awesome to see you.
Hold on. If I share that now. Sorry, I can't fix it. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Jackie. I'm just seeing the people that are online with us on Facebook. Hello, everyone. It's awesome to see you. Oops. I'm just playing it in the background on Facebook there.
Okay, I think I've worked it out.
Tell us, anyone that is online, do you use the Decans at all? Do you know about your own chart and, you know, how it kind of relates to the Decans? Oh, hang on, I'm talking and I've muted myself, so sorry about that.
All right.
Asking
I'm still
hello to people on Facebook.
I'm still getting the thing coming up. I don't know why.
Okay, well, don't worry, just show it that way. That's fine.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's because it's on my other screen.
Okay.
Okay, so where am I? Show it back.
Share again.
Oh, can you go away?
Well, I just did this little experiment with, I mean, I've looked at the Decans and my own chart a few times, but it's always good for a reminder. It's not like I've got it sitting there, but my chart is mostly ruled by Mercury and Venus, which I kind of liked. So anyway, there you go. That's it, Olga. So you can just leave it like that. That's okay. I mean,
yeah, because I don't know how to. I mean, if I make this a little bit smaller, then you can see that slide a bit bigger.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, because if I've extended, it goes to my other screen. So let's just stay with that.
Fine. Yep.
Okay, so can I start, or are we still live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, we're live. Hello.
I was live.
Okay, right. Sorry for that. Okay, so Decans. Some people call them Decans. So it comes from deco in Greek, and it means 10. And they're also called faces. You know, the face that we show, that 10 degrees. And number 36 is the number of the sun. Now, I go into detail in my book called Dawn of the Seventh Day, but I'll just talk about some aspects in that book. W. Decan, people have never heard about him. I teach about him, but he had a novel called The Tunnel Through the Air, and he only had 36 chapters in there. Now, that's not a coincidence, obviously, okay? And he also traveled to Egypt. That's what really got me wanting to travel to Egypt as well. I mean, I've always wanted to go, but so I've been there twice. So if I could go every year, I would. Anyway, so the 36 decans originate from Egypt, okay? Each month was divided into 3 weeks of 7 days, or that's where we get the word decade from too, called star clocks. And thereby, those telling the time by star risings were the hour watches. So the horoscope was actually more to do with the stars rising on the horizon. The Decan transit clock was a cycle of stars rising, dying, becoming invisible, and being reborn again. So this was the cycle of life. And all these stories about someone being born and then someone dying, and we know about a lot of those in our myths anyway, and then being reborn, okay, is all to do with this cycle of the stars going. And the ancients believed that the decans act as messengers between heaven and hell. In Hebrew gematria, now this is stuff I do in my GAN stuff. Gematria was a way of just like numerology, but using the Hebrew alphabet. The number 36 is called Badal, which means to separate, to divide, and to divide into parts. Okay, so each zodiac sign or month was divided into 3 parts. So we get a trinity in each month. And apparently the decans first appeared in coffin lids around 2000 BC. So they've been around for a long time in Egypt. And when I went to the British Museum, if you go there, there's a whole lower floor is all Egypt, and you can see some of the coffins lids in there. Even more ones that sort of are from the 1st century. I've got photos of it, and all around inside, what they used to do, they'd have the horoscope of the person in the coffin, and they'd have all the decans around it and where the positions obviously of that person's chart was in. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so these are some of the star clocks in here from the ceiling charts. I didn't take this photo, I didn't get to go to this place, but it's one of the ones that's used a lot because you can see all these little spaces in here, and that would have been Orion. You can see the 3 belts of Orion in there. So they're all divided. Now, I went everywhere we went in Egypt with Deborah, Agent 29. We took pictures of every star we could possibly find and groupings of stars everywhere, okay? So the next one is then Sirius. This photo I took, this is in Ramses IV's tomb, I think, when we went to the Valley of the Kings. His whole area is totally covered in these star charts. And these little men down here are actually the astronomers or the priests, you know, the star doing the calculations, okay? So some of these figures here represent some of the stars at the top, the circumpolar stars. And the circumpolar stars never die. So they're the stars or the planets, no, actually there's the stars that are immortal because they never die. So this is where the mythology of, you know, immortal gods, because they never got to drop below the horizon. So when Sirius, the dog star, which is the most important star in Egyptian, disappeared in the duat. So the duat is the underworld below the horizon. He would disappear for 70 days, in which time, and then he would rise again. So believe it or not, the Egyptians, the whole process of mummification was 70 days because they wanted to honor Sirius while he was in the underworld. And as an old star was dying on the western horizon, another star is being born on the eastern horizon every 10 days. So this is called, I don't know how to pronounce this, I'm going to try, Paran Telenata, which really is just shortened to Parans now. So one's rising, one's dying, one's culminating always, okay? So that's where the stories came from. Then after spending 70 days invisible in the duat, the Decan rises and spends 80 days in the eastern heaven before it culminates on the meridian, and it works. So when the star's high, it's like, isn't it funny? That's like our career point, you know, like where we reach our highest culmination. Works for 120 days, and after working for 120 days, the star spends the remaining 90 days in the western sky before dying once again. So you can see a lot of these cycles. Now, the Egyptian had a whole calendar based around Sirius, just from this whole rising and setting and everything.
Yes.
I'm going to go into that too. Okay, so the best place, one of the easiest and best place to see the Decans is in the Temple of Hathor in Dendora. And this is obviously from the Ptolemaic period, from the 1st century BC. So this is more with the when the Greeks were there. Okay, the Ptolemies are more Greek, so the zodiac is there. But these ceilings now, we spent 2 hours in there. When I came out, my neck was so sore.
You need a lounge to just
yeah, you do.
Under and look up. Yeah.
And these are my photos. Now they're so high. Now when they first found these this temple, it was those ceilings and everything, the columns were covered in soot, because they were using, when they weren't looked after, they were used, people used to light fires in there to keep warm. And so the whole ceiling was just covered. And you will see some parts of it are still covered in soot that they're still working on. So they're so glorious. Actually, this photo doesn't do it justice, because the blue is so deep. It's like a lapis lazuli they used in their paint. Yeah, so that's and so you can see that obviously that this one stands out because you can see the Taurus in there.
Wow, how come the Taurus is so magnified? That suits
exactly
today.
because it's a temple of Hathor, and Hathor was the cow goddess. Okay, and she was a symbol of the age of Taurus. Okay, you know, like she was it. So she's honored in this temple. It's her temple. Actually, someone told me I look like Hathor. You know, I've got the face like a cow. I love it. Anyway, okay, so today I've just highlighted it. Now, these are my photos. I've got that little camera I showed you, Jules, that I can zoom in, and I was able to get these. So this is Aquarius. You can see with the 2 streams of flowing here. And there's Pisces. Okay,
I love the stars in the background. I love the star kind of icon.
Yeah, and they're all the stars. So it wasn't just the zodiac sign. They also had the stars in between them. And at the bottom on these boats are all the Decans. Now they're on the boats because the Egyptian believed that the sky was a celestial sea, and that the ark and that the actual Decan sailed on the sea at night. And so they're all in these arcs, okay? So they're all the Decans here. Now, I don't know exactly who's who. I mean, I could work it out if I really wanted to, and I might. So there's a guy who has. But the thing is, you don't know how.
One looks like a lion. The other one is the ibis, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
There's the wolf, or what the equivalent there, the maiden.
That's right. And so they are all the Decans that we use. So. Look at the bull. I mean, the bull is amazing. He sticks out right.
Right.
You know, and the fact, I don't know if they left him black when they were cleaning it up, or if he was originally so dark. I don't know, but it stands out. As soon as you walk in, that's the first thing you see pretty much.
Yeah, wow.
And here you got Aries. So you got Aries, and there's Pisces there. I'm not sure who this is. I believe it has to be one of the constellations in between Pisces and Aries.
I'm just thinking of the dog star, but they never called it the dog star, did they? Serious?
No. Well,
Does it look like
did.
a dog?
Well,
Is it a dog?
no. Well, no. It was just a big star. But remember, this is like the Greeks coming in and putting in
Sure,
their stuff into it. So yeah, there's Libra. Libra just sit, and the little person sitting on there, which I think is Horus. There's Scorpio. And there's also this Scorpio queen. She's got a Scorpio tail. She's got a name. I can't think of her name now. So there's a lot of goddesses in between and gods who represent the constellations, not just the zodiac signs. And then we got this little baboon. The baboon is supposed to be Thoth.
So, sorry, Olga, I'm just looking. I mean, this brings up something. The Scorpio zone of the celestial sky and Libra. There's always been that controversy that, there was a sign
stuck together,
stuck together, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a sign in between there. Like they've got something else in between there.
Well, there's Sagittarius. You can see the arrow of Sagittarius here. I think I've got one of him. Okay, there's Sagittarius. Right. Now they've left this in. This is what the ceiling looked like previously before they cleaned it. It was just covered in black. Right, the whole ceiling, and this is a massive temple. It's huge.
Yeah.
So you can imagine cleaning this thing over time, how long it's taken them to see just how beautiful it is. It's the most amazing. I'm telling you, every astrologer needs to get to this place. One day when we do maybe agents in Egypt. Agents in Egypt tour, we could spend a whole day just in this temple, everyone having a look and see what they can discover, because it's awesome.
Will we be bold enough to hire our own troopies and do our own four-wheel driving? Okay.
No, not in Egypt. You've got no idea how they drove over there. Oh God. Okay, so this is obviously Leo. Okay, Leo, it's splendid, absolutely beautiful. Okay, so and there were all the Decans. I just wanted to show all the Decans in their boats. Now, this man here called Jim Cornwell, he's got a book called Alpha and Omega on the internet, and he has come up with some of these correlations. I don't know, I haven't spent enough time to say if they're accurate or not, but the zodiac signs obviously are accurate, and he's putting some of the possible constellations that fit in between, but then he's numbered the Decans, but he hasn't said obviously who they are. That takes a bit of work to work them out. I'm sure someone has, I don't know, but it's really fascinating to look at them in this respect, okay, because the temple is important, it's huge. And I'll tell you about something about temples. What does the word temple actually mean? Tempo in Italian is time. Tempo, okay. Right? Yeah. So a temple is actually encodes time. Mm-hmm. So the temples in Egypt and other places, not just Egypt, they were actually used as a teaching place. So the initiates would go there and they would learn whatever it was. It's like a university, but it's all to do with time and cycles. And they were put on specific parts of the earth, which we know are special vortex points, okay? But also a lot of these temples were actually built on previous temples that were there way before they were there, right? So this was built in apparently the 1st century, built on a much older temple, okay? And what have churches done? They've all built on what they call pagan sites or temples of some god or goddess, okay? It was the same. So, and then in the same temple, this is why it's such a place for astrologers to go to, is the Dendora Zodiac, okay? Which is in a small, I was imagining this thing, I know, okay, the original is in the Louvre, which is this. They actually took it out. I have no idea how they did that without ruining it, but it's there. But in the, where at the temple at Dendora, they've actually just left like a what would you call a mold of it on the ceiling. And I was thinking, oh, this thing's going to be in this huge room, but it's not. It's in the smallest little room well, I reckon not even, 30 people could be pretty squashed in there, but it was really low. And I understood what that meant, because that room was a teaching room. It's the room of Osiris, right? It's all to do with Osiris, who's a god of the underworld. But the zodiac ceiling is in this small room, because literally, if I was a little bit taller, I could just, reach it with my hand just by putting it up. I was pointing it, like, so anyway, now, so there's a lot of, you read books on it. Nobody can really give you a proper date for this thing. There's lots of dates for it. And, the zodiac and what it represents and the angles. Now, the angles, obviously, that's what I wanted to show. So this is my group, a part of our group, and you can see how it's just above our head. Okay, so it's like, so it's not very high up. Anyway, so what some of the books I've got, I've actually put some of my own information in here. You can see how when they've got the hawk head, which is like Horus. Horus is the hawk. Now, Horus, the word Horus, we get the word horizon from Horus, because he was the rising sun. Okay, and his enemy, with his brother Set, we get sunset. So as Horus rises, horizon, his brother Set, when the sun's setting, kills him. So there's this duality all the time that we see every day anyway, with the sun going. So these words that we inherit, when you look back, you can see that it's always to do with astrological, astronomical symbolism, our words. Anyway, so you can see where they cross over, like this is like the angles of the chart. And I've just divided, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but they're all the 12 sections. They reckon this is the actual temple axis currently it's 71.5 northeast. And there's a theory that this little emblem here is actually highlighting, and on this side, the original axis, which if you look in here, it's connected with Orion, who's in here. Okay. And that would take it back to 10,500 BC.
Okay. Yep.
Right. Now,
which before the great floods and waters. Yes.
That's correct. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean, this is my theory, okay? That doesn't mean that this was created at that time. I think it was a teaching tool for the initiates to learn this is where the axis was before the flood, because if we look at the whole thing about Graham Hancock and Robert Duval talking about the Sphinx facing the equinox when it was the age of Leo, that fits in exactly with this 10,500 BC when Orion would have been right on that point. So I agree with that whole system of working out the cycles, and I think this is exactly telling us that. So these are all the corners. So we've got the cardinal points here in red, and then we've got the mutable, not the cardinal, the fixed cross. So you can see the signs like in here. There's Leo. I've put him in there. I can't see without. Anyway, it's too close. But anyway, have a look. Oh, there's Scorpio there. You can see it. There's Taurus. Taurus is here. Okay, and there's Aquarius. That's what I had to say. Okay, so we're going into this area. And you can see the end of the fish here. There's Pisces. So there's one line that goes right through Pisces. So this is moving into Aquarius on this angle. You can see that. So anyway, it's really exciting. Now, the other thing, as I said, the temples. This is what Freddie Silver inspired. I've got all Freddie's books, and he inspired me looking at the temples. He's not the first one, but obviously I did a tour with him. Looking at the temples from a perspective of them being temples of initiation and the sacred geometry in the temples. Because, when we think of Egypt, you just think about the Great Pyramid, but every temple is encoded with knowledge. And this one in particular, is the how many columns there are. Okay, so this is the Temple of Seti in Abydos, another amazing place. And now Freddie didn't tell me about all this. I don't know if he's got in his books. I just worked it out because I kept saying to Deb, how many columns are there? How many are there?
Wow.
Right. And then we look at the map and we can see. So when you walk into the temple, there are 42 steps. Okay. there were 42 judges in the before you die sort of thing. You have to meet 42 judges, and you've got to talk about your sins. You know, what you did you sin about, and you know they weigh your heart. And there's 42 judges. So this part, the temple's like you going through the initiation. So you go through you step on your 42 steps like the judges, and you walk in. Now it's set to the northeast corner, and then the northeast corner is always related to the summer solstice. Okay, that's where the sun is, in the northeast corner. Then we get in, and there are 12 columns. So I'm saying the 12 months. Okay, the next section, there are 24 hours. So they're the 24 hours of the day. Then we go into the next section, and there are 36 columns, so 36 decans.
Wow.
Right? Then we go into the next one, and we have 7 chapels or chambers, obviously related to the 7 gods, 7 planets. Okay. Then we had another one divided up where we get the 4, 12, and 3. You know what that is? The quadrivium, the trivium, and the 12. Yeah, so this is all sacred geometry. You know,
elements and the modes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So, and then if you add up 12, 24, 36, you get 72. We know that's the rate of precession. So there's there's a lot of information. I'm only giving you a little bit. I mean, if you're a GAN people, you're probably getting excited about this. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah,
I just think that we should have modern temples designed on these principles a bit more. Wouldn't that be nice? Like a line in the town squares.
They probably do. They probably do. Like if they're built by masons, like a lot of masons use exactly the same.
Well, I know a lot of modern architects do a line, you know, with the sun and, you know, the right sort of positions and stuff these days, and especially in town planning. But you know, not to this kind of level to represent, you know, kind of, you know, this collective connection to the cosmos. I'd love to see more of that. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but, and you know, the other thing that I got excited about a lot of things in Egypt, but this was the most enlightening thing for me, because in every temple, there are holes in the above, okay, at some point. And what happens? The sun, at different times of the day and different times of the year, is going to be at a certain angle, coming in and illuminating parts of the wall and parts of the columns. Now, what is it? It's a teaching. It's an illumination of teaching. So because I don't understand enough of the hieroglyphics, that would be to me, okay, at 11 o'clock, this is what you need to learn about, because this is what's connected to that time of day. Okay, so this obviously there's a big shadow. The illumination is telling you something that you need to learn. Just remember, these are temples of learning. At that time of day or that minute, this is what you need to learn. This is your teaching today. How cool is that?
Yeah, I love that. So it's like, just come into the temple at the same time every day or something, and you're going to get the new teaching. How perfect. Yeah.
And then some of the columns that I was talking about, the same. So they've got these little holes at regular intervals, illuminating points of the column or points of the thing. And that's where the teaching was.
Yeah,
right?
Wow.
So how amazing is that? See, I get goosebumps when I talk about it.
Because you were meant to talk about it.
I just love it, because I just thinking.
This is your mission.
Yeah, but think about the construction of that. They had to know. They have to know the sun inside out. They have to know the angles at it, every single angle it makes, every time of day, every time of year, to illuminate that part of the wall or the column for the specific teaching. Okay? How sophisticated is that? I don't think people could do that now, honestly, even with all that, maybe with computers, but I'm talking about the intellect here. But it's just that,
we could get Gemini onto it, Agent 1123. He'd probably know how to set it up.
I'm sure he would.
You know,
I reckon Gemini Brett would be intrigued by this. I don't know if he knows about this.
We'll make sure.
I discovered this in Egypt just recently. Well, at this last trip,
Yeah.
You know, just this, and I thought, oh my God, this is it. It's just beautiful. So we don't know exactly that. There might be some, you know, constellations in here if we don't know our hieroglyphs.
So when you took this photo, just
Yeah.
on that day, what was your teaching? What was?
I have got, you know, the great thing about our iPhones, it keeps the exact time
Yes.
of your photo. So I can go into detail, and I probably will a little bit, but yeah, I'll see. It's cool. It's very
I
cool.
was just asking to see if, you know, if you've kind of downloaded, what did that mean to you that day?
That was the most, well, this whole Dendora is the most, I was able to go into the crypts. I got to go, I think there are 7 crypts there. And to get into the crypts, you basically have to go through this tiny little hole and kneel and crawl into this really tight. Now that's where the initiates got the real esoteric knowledge. Okay. Like they're really, So there's all these levels. Okay. Because there's the crypt, then there's this level, and then you go to the top where the Dendora, I think they say, Dendora Zodiac is. So there's all these levels to these places.
Wow.
Anyway, now what do we do with all this, you know, and how do we bring it to contemporary, you know, 2021? Is looking at now in our charts, we can still use the Decans, okay? So this is a zodiac wheel in the middle, and then on the outside, you can see that every sign is divided into 3 sections, and they're called the Decans. And at the moment, we've just moved into Aquarius, which is an air sign, and then we look at these 3 Decans in Aquarius, or we're going to do 2. But the amazing thing about the Decans and sacred geometry, how do I move this? Hold on, I can see myself here. Look at when we divide 36 by 7, because we have 7 planets, we get 5.14222857. When we divide 360 by 7, we get 51.4285771. That's why we got 7 weeks in a year. Now, our calendar is based on
7 days in a week, you mean?
Yeah, 52 weeks. What did I say? Sorry.
7 days in a year or something. Anyway.
Oh, I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? 52 weeks. Now, the amazing thing is that 52, that's a septile in astrology, okay? So we've got, you can't have a 7 without having a 5. So we've got the 7 which is a septile, and the 5 is the quintile or pentagram, okay? But the pyramid of Giza's angle is exactly 51.52 degrees, which is rounded off to about 52. Okay, so this sacred geometry, this is actually not just, you know, astrology. This is sacred geometry.
Yeah.
Okay, and like the first time I got into the Great Pyramid was on my birthday, and I was 52. I was determined to get there, 52, so I could experience the harmonics of why it was built on that angle. And it's all to do with what's called septimal law. It's to do with the 7, okay? And so these are all the decans ruled by a planet. So the planet's going to rule 5 decans, except Mars, who gets 6, okay? And it creates a pentagram or a pentagon in the chart. Okay, so this is that's that energy again. But every time it goes around, it's going to be in a different element. I mean, sometimes it has a double, because like you can see that it's got water here.
Yeah.
Can you see my full slide?
So so it's easy to then kind of, you know, work out in a sense if you wanted to just do it by yourself. But of course, we've got software and stuff to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
How cool for explaining that to us. Thanks. Wow.
Yeah. So, and this is the change, you know, there's a big change. My anticipation, what I anticipate to do is to run like a workshop on the decans with the CIA, where we explain this and how you can apply it to your own chart. And we make a mandala for your chart using the tarot, but also you can use it with progressions, because we don't stay, we're born with the chart. That chart does not stay.
Moving
static.
chart, as we call it.
And we evolve, right? And we're going to evolve through all these decans. Our sun's not going to stay, just say we're born today. It's not going to it's not going to stay there. It's going to move. So every 10 years or so, depending the degree of where your sun is when you're born, we're going to move, we're going to evolve, and we're going to change into this new decan ruled by a new ruler.
Yeah.
And it's completely, I've done my own life, and it's just amazing what happens. Now, that's just one. We can just use the sun, but we can use all the other planets. Basically, there's so much you can do with this. I've done a lot of stuff with it, even with eclipses, which I'll show you in a minute.
We're all going to go back after this and do our own lifetime in progressions through the decans.
For sure.
Now, Olga, so these are the Egyptian decans, obviously, but there are other ones. These are
the Chaldean ones.
Oh, Chaldean. Sorry.
Yeah, there's Egyptian. Yeah, there's Egyptian.
Yeah.
Egyptian terms, they call them. I'm not using that. I'm using these are the Chaldean ones, okay?
Okay. But
and
then
there
is a modern version of this too, where they use the outer planets. So again, depending on the software you use, if you're going to use,
you can change it. I learned how to change it on Soulfire.
This is
I can teach people
order that Olga's using here, and it makes so much sense how you've shown the division of the year and into the 5 segments that repeat, whereas the others wouldn't do that. And this is what a lot of people don't know. They use another formula, but it doesn't actually make sense like this one. Yeah. So
anyway,
pointing that out.
And that's the same for the one where we're going to look at with Mercury. So you can see Mercury going through there as well. Okay. So what I mentioned the Chaldean. This is where we got to look at. So we're going back to astrology that they were using for like planetary hours. Okay, we would go back to the Chaldean system, which is like Mesopotamia and Babylon. Okay, that's where it all is, right? So every day, it's also called the diurnal order. Each planet ruling the days of the week. So we start with Sunday, which is 1. Sunday, okay. Then we go 2 and we get to Monday, Moon Day. In Italian's lunedì, which is like lunar. Everything lunar is the moon. Then for Monday, we go up again. We go to Tuesday, which is Mars. That's Tuesday. In Italian, it's martedì, so you can see the Marte in it. And then we go to 4, which is Wednesday for Mercury. Obviously, Mercury in Italian is mercoledì. That's where we get the word merchant from. Lots of words related to Mercury. Then we go to Thursday, which is Thor's Day. Also in Italian is Giovedì, which we get the word jovial from. Everything that's joyful and jovial is connected with Jupiter. Then after Jupiter, we go to Friday, which is Venus's day. In Italian, venerdì. In Italian, the Latin words are exactly like 6. And then we go, the 7th day is Saturn, and in Italian is Sabato. Now Saturn, that's why we rest on Saturn, and with the Jewish tradition, they rest on the 7th day. They start from the evening of Venus because it's ruled by Saturn. And you rest on Saturn, you do nothing on Saturn. So that's where the whole tradition about our calendar actually, especially for the Jewish is. And like that's in the Bible.
We've got Saturn all wrong because we work. Saturn
I know.
Work.
They started with Sunday. So there's that order. So the order of the days of the week. And then on the outer wheel, we go through what the Chaldean order is. So you start from the planet that's the furthest away, which is Saturn. So we go Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon.
And that's, of course, their orbits and how quick they are and stuff. So
from the Earth. Yeah.
Thanks for explaining that. There's many people that wouldn't know that, but the order and the order of the days and how that works is just like you can see how obvious astrology is in every moment of life.
Moment of our life, every hour, every day is ruled by a planet. Every hour. Yeah. Okay, and they used it for everything, including everything they did, so and this is the order here if you're not sure about it, so you can see that's the order of how far they're away, and then each planet obviously has rules over a sign. Okay,
that's a nice graphic. I like that one.
I made that.
Oh, did you?
I make a lot of these. I make a lot of them. And here's another thing just for people when they're looking at this, so that you can see the difference between the diurnal and the natural order of the planets. So now I do a lot. I'm going to promote my book because I put a lot of work into it. It's called Dawn of the Seventh Day, where I talk about all this quite in
We'll put a
detail.
link to that in the thread after we finish for all of the things we talk about. So yeah, look back.
So
on that.
In my book, there's an appendix for the Decans, and it goes through all the degrees, who the ruler is according to this Chaldean, and the date. Okay, so that makes it easy. So today we're going to be talking about 31 and 33, 32, I'm always 33, which is to do with Aquarius. So the sun moving into these signs. And if you're born at this time, these will be the planetary rulers for you. Okay.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So this is the chart for today, the exact time that the sun moved into zero of Aquarius. And you can see the ruler.
Venus.
Yeah, ruled by Venus. Yeah.
So
this is, yep.
Sorry, Olga, keep going.
That's all right. Yep.
Well, I was just so we've got a timing now. The sun's going to move through Aquarius in the next 30 days. 10 days, 10 degrees. So this first section, the sun's going to go past Saturn and Jupiter, which will still be there in 10 days. I believe Jupiter will still be there. Maybe not, actually. But how do we read this timing of Aquarius Venus connection then?
Well, there's lots of ways. There's now I can recommend, this is Austin's book.
Read something out of that.
This only came out, I don't know when he published this, but Austin.
4 years ago, maybe?
2014. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I only bought it last year. But anyway, it's called the 36 Faces, and I love it because it brings everything together in here. Before I did this book, I was looking, for in all these different books, but he's basically your source now. It's in one book. So we should interview him maybe.
We should. Austin's a very magical, mystical Pisces as well. So yes, we will.
Yeah.
So Austin Popok, that is.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So this is really good because it's very detailed, and it's not just the sun in the first decan. Okay, it actually also describes if a planet's there. You can look at your own chart as well, obviously. And which one do you want me to read, Jules?
The first one, the sun, the first decan of Aquarius.
Okay. It says.
So we know what the next 10 days are about.
It's actually the first face of Aquarius. The spirit steps down from the throne of power. Glimpse from the third. Yeah, how cool is that? You know what's happening today in America?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. Glimpse. Well, he actually said his goodbye today. So the throne of power, glimpse in the third decan of Capricorn. The protective but oppressive shell of the world system is abandoned in favor of the promise of what might lie beyond. The figures seem here that bear the mark of eccentric exile, the rebel and the pioneer. This face of exclusion and intentional exile. Many of the traditional images associated with this decan depict the difficulties of living on the margins and the outside. Okay. There's a lot in here. So hold on. Right. Okay. Poverty and labor. This is like from the 3 books of the occult philosophy from Agrippa. So we're going back to all the magical type thing. That's why I like it. It covers every aspect of it. Poverty and labor are both circumstances overseen by Saturn, who is not only the traditional ruler of Aquarius, but is held to be the ruler of this face in the triplicity system, which we're not using the triplicity system here. We're just using the decan ruler. Okay. So it's a difficult one in many aspects, and like with the sign of the I was going to show you the one about how it's connected to the tarot. Okay. So the Golden Dawn, I think it was early 1900s, they started allocating the minor arcana to the decans. Okay, so a lot of people use these correspondence with the Decans, and I thought it'd be interesting to look at. Now, it does get a bad rap. Now, it gets a bad rap because 5, it brings in numerology. Number 5 is one of those numbers that's very changeable, as I suppose numerologists would know. And remembering that Aquarius is air, so it's got to do with the reason, our reasonings, right? So the words that they use is defeat. I think that's, inadequate energy to maintain peace. Reason is undone by sentiment, conflict, disagreements, competition, winning at all costs. It's like that, so it's not, even though it's ruled by Venus according to this tarot, it's not an easy one.
You know what it kind of highlights for me, and because of the Decan being ruled by Venus, it's the wands are very much the fire cards, aren't they? So inspirational, connection to Venus. It's like the battle of who's got the better idea at this time of life, like who's got the better creative kind of idea about where we're going and stuff. Like we've got Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, moving through. The sun's going to pass Saturn and Jupiter over this next week or so, and then we're going to have Mercury retrograde in all of that, right? The sun's Mercury retrograde starts next week. It's actually stationing now, right? Like, you can see that in that chart. It's stationing on the 30th. Sorry, it goes retrograde on the 30th of January.
I've just put the chart up for you
great.
for the next one. Yeah.
And then the Cazimi is going to be in 20 degrees of Aquarius, meaning the midpoint of the retrograde. And then the morning star version of Mercury, before it goes direct, will pass Jupiter and Saturn. So it's kind of a real, this timing coming up for the next 2 weeks is a real beginning of this real readjustment time before we start a new moon and a new year with the next new moon. So it's really interesting. I mean, I've said in various ways over the past couple of weeks with Saturn in Aquarius, it feels like the future is on hold because we don't really know what it means. So much is in lockdown, and there's so much sort of desperation about how things, the outlook of things. But Jupiter's there to remind us that from this, we need to believe in the future. Right, so we've got this square to Uranus and Mars, which are ruled by Venus. Yeah. Right, which are ruled by Venus. So the radical self that can kind of change the dynamic from, and many of the answers that a lot of, let's say, evolved beings are saying, it's love that's going to conquer all. Makes sense, but we just got to work at it that way, Yeah. It's a really, really interesting time that we're in. So this Mercury retrograde, which starts, in a few weeks, is going to go past. It starts with the ruler. What's that? Hang on, where am I looking?
This is the 30th I've got up there.
Okay, so the first Decan of Aquarius. Oh, you've got the old. You've got the modern system there.
Oh, sorry. So sorry.
Well, this is just a good example of, see, on the outside now of this chart that Olga's got.
Yeah.
The decans change because there's a different system behind it. But if we're looking at the Chaldean order, it's ruled by the moon. The Mercury retrograde starts in the moon segment.
I can go back. I've got to check it. I thought I'd set it as default, but sometimes it just goes over to the one that it wants to go over to. Well, this is the proper one. That's the proper one. Yeah.
Okay. That's the one we'd prefer to use, and Olga would prefer to use. So ruled by the moon, I mean, this is a really collective experience or time, very collective experience, Aquarius. With the moon as the ruler, the Decan ruler, as the emotional side of how we are so much connected to these times. We cannot think that our sort of portion or part of this is disregarded. And then it moves into the more reasonable mercurial ruled Aquarius decan, which I think maybe the next few weeks will be a lot more confusing, but by the end of the Mercury retrograde, things are likely to clear up. So that's my kind of little outlook. Fantastic, Olga. Thank you so much. I can't believe we've been talking for an hour.
I know. I'm thinking I've got more slides, but I think I better shut up now.
We'll leave it for the
next time.
Next time, because as you can see, everyone, this is so interesting. So I just recommend that you have a look at your own chart with the decans on the outside and see what sort of comes up for you. Have you looked at yours to know which planetary rulers are the most,
No, I haven't done that.
Okay. So I did that exercise, as I said earlier. I did it for the CIA, and Saturn and the Sun are the most prominent decan rulers. And for my own chart, it's Mercury and Venus. So that's pretty cool. But Olga, if you stop sharing your screen, what this we can now move towards is Olga's going to do a lot more for us, in these free sessions over coming weeks and months. And we're going to, as I said earlier, get a lot more good info together for you from different people. And in the meantime, then Olga, you're going to do a workshop for us, which we're going to plan on, on decans. And again, you've got information on all kinds of things like particular points in astrology chart, which aren't looked at very often. Like the part of fortune or the part of spirit, that type of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So Magical Olga is going to be coming back with us. But what we've got happening next week with the CIA is our next, which kind of transmutes into finishing off this topic, and that is the Astrology of Harmonics. And the Astrology of Harmonics is another way of dividing or let's say grouping the resonance of an astrology chart by numbers. And here she is, Alex Trenoweth, who is going to present that for us. Now, this is free for CIA members, but you can join separately for $25 for this 90-minute webinar. Hi, Alex.
Hey, hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hi, Alex.
Thanks for joining us. I know it's late night in the UK.
It's very late. And I've had a very busy day. So
we just want your little couple of minutes on, kind of telling us about the harmonics and what you'll be presenting next week.
Sure. So I just want to say that, my own personal experience in numbers has not been good, and that's because I was taught in quantitative ways what numbers mean, and not the qualitative means. And I think that harmonics can tell you what the numbers actually mean. So when we talk about harmonics, we are looking at a specific way of interpreting a chart, but it never takes over the meaning of the natal chart. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's also extremely useful. And with harmonics, you can do something very simple. You can do the first harmonic is always going to be your natal chart, but you can do the second harmonic or the fourth or the fifth, and each number will bring in a different kind of meaning. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about celebrities and people that have used the various types of numbers and their meanings with that and how they've used them. And then I think that as just kind of regular people, if we know which harmonic to use, we can add it to our lives to make decisions and to bring out our talents. And with the right harmonic, we can find our soul's purpose. So I'm very
resonates more. What resonates more? Again, hidden aspects that aren't looked at, like just for instance, quintiles or something, the fifth harmonic. And
I love quintiles.
Sorry?
I love quintiles, I love septiles. And if you drill down into the charts, you're going to find your quintiles and septiles and where you can use the mysteries of these numbers to bring out good things in your life.
Fantastic.
And I love, well, here we go.
That's
I
David's
got
book.
David Hamlin's book, and also have John Eddy's books. And I very much appreciated having the opportunity to talk with David Hamlin, who was basically the founding person to bring harmonics to astrology in England. So it's all very exciting. And I think that harmonics have been kind of pushed aside and not used very much, but I know that David Cochrane has done some brilliant work.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
So what I want to say is, don't think of that numbers are those nerdy kind of things that girls can't access. Look at it as something that you have missed out on the meaning of. And numbers are all about, have their own individual meanings, and they do their own kind of dance and sing their own sort of song. And
great. The magic of numbers coming up next with Alex Trenoweth. So that's Thursday the 28th in Melbourne, and that's Wednesday the 27th in the USA. But anyway, I'm going to put the links there. So come and join us for that if you want to learn more about harmonics. Thanks, Alex, for that. We look forward to that. And Olga, thank you so much for today. You're incredible. We love your information, and we look forward to the next segment. And yeah, we'll be bringing you more magic, more numbers, more sacred geometry, more mysteries. So make sure you stay tuned to the Cosmic Intelligence Agency and what we're up to. Join us as a membership. You'll get so much more, let's say, information, and with these fabulous agents that are all involved. So I look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful Aquarian season, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.